All over the U.S., there are people who work 40 hours a week but still cannot afford daily essentials for life. According to the APA website, more than 1.5 million people in the U.S. work for a wage of $7.25 per hour, creating hardships for them and their families. The current minimum wage is set too low for anybody to make a living off this income. The wage should be set at a livable rate at which people could live off not 2 or 3 jobs, but 1. The problem of minimum wage must be resolved. For some people, it's not by choice that they must work in places because of their background. Increasing minimum wage would provide great benefits to not only the people, but the government as well. It would decrease the poverty rate and create a better living situation for these families. The government would be helped by not spending as much money helping the poor with their government homes. Therefore, jobs that pay minimum wage should become a reliable source for those people and their families. First, we look at how minimum wage affects the families. Minimum wage can be defined as the minimum amount of money that the employer is required to pay earners for the work they performed in a specific amount of time. Studies show that 85% of the people that earn minimum wage live in lower class environments. Minimum wage affects families in which they live. This can include what they eat, where they live, and where the kids go to school. Even though these people work 40 hours, they can simply not afford what they need to survive. These people turn to the government for help. The government will provide assistance through food stamps and housing. These types of houses are normally grouped together and range in size. And here we'll see that the houses are grouped together and they can range in size. Next, we look at the risk of the children. Without proper essentials for life, children could face many difficulties. These problems include lack of nutrition, lack of preparation for school, and the biggest problem, bullying. These kids typically do not do well in school. According to the poverty documentary, even though these kids themselves do nothing to deserve this, they are still greatly affected. Kids that are affected the most are the ones that are bullied. They are made fun of for what they wear and how much they may eat at lunch during school because it's the only hot meal a day that they get, and where they live. Just because their parent has a bad record doesn't mean that they should be bullied. Even though you may have never used government housing, your tax dollars still help it. U.S. alone paid out $46 million just last year for government housing. According to David Madden and Peter McCrow, there is a program called the Income Housing Tax Credit Act that helps people put in government homes. And you can see here that in this book, they talk about how the Housing Act works and how it affects the people. Even though there's huge controversy over whether minimum wage should be raised or lowered, I believe it should be raised so people can make a living. Instead of getting things handed to them by the government, they can work for themselves and enjoy it. It is an proven fact that if you enjoy your job and the money you earn, you will stay at your job longer. Psychiatrist Lauren Smith says that minimum wage should be a concern of her field. She says that people that work 40 hours a week should not be headed to homeless shelters. Now that the problem has been discussed, I hope we can come to agreement that minimum wage needs to be increased. With poverty being a huge problem in the U.S., a raise would prevent majority of it. Even though you may not see it, everyone is affected by minimum wage. If what I've talked to you about today doesn't make you want to raise minimum wage, then you should go work 40 hours at $7.25 and try to pay the bills that you have now. If you think it should be raised, then go out and let your voice be heard.